So this is 22:55 minutes before the stated time for the broadcast of this particular edition, part 2 of the Baby Angel Geronimo Editions Khoodeelaar television channel. Part 2, Part B, timed at 23:10 hours GMT on Wednesday, the 30th of November 2022. And the baby angel Geronimo is the world's bestest, most innocent, purest witness to the truth of all the events taking place in the United Kingdom. United Kingdom? Is it united? It is kingdom indeed after 70 years of Brenda being the queendom. But the resignation, enforced resignation, the enforced resignation of Susan Hussey after she apologized and resigned after she repeatedly asked a black British charity boss where she, the black British charity boss, was really from. Ngozi Fulani, a charity founder, was questioned about her background at the charity event at the Palace on Tuesday. Ms. Fulani said she was totally stunned by Prince William's godmother's comments. The palace described the remarks as unacceptable and deeply regrettable. A spokesman for Prince William said, "Racism has no place in our society." Indeed, the comments were unacceptable, and it is right that the individual has stepped aside with immediate effect, they said. Lady Hussey, aged 83, was a close confidant of the late Queen and accompanied her at the funeral of the Duke of Edinburgh last year. She was a key and trusted figure in the royal household for decades, and part of her latest role had involved helping to host occasions at Buckingham Palace. Miss Fulani, in an interview with the independent website, said she was bigger than one individual. It's institutional racism. It was in shock. I was in shock after it happened, and anybody who knows me knows I don't take this kind of nonsense, she said. But I had to consider so many things. As a black person, I found myself in this place where I wanted to say something. But what happened would automatically be seen as my fault. It would bring my charity sister space down. It would be, oh, she has a chip on their shoulder. Miss Fulani said she did not want to see Lady Hussey vilified. An eyewitness to the conversation, Mandu Reeds, told BBC News that Lady Hussey's question had been offensive, racist, and unwelcoming. The leader of the Women's Equality Party said she had felt a sense of incredulity about the exchange in which Ms. Fulani was interrogated about where she was from, even though she had already explained she was born and lived in the UK. It is in its statement, Buckingham Palace said, "We take this incident extremely seriously and have investigated immediately to establish the full details. In this instance, unacceptable and deeply regrettable comments have been made. We have reached out to Ngozi Fulani on this matter and are inviting her to discuss all elements of her experience in person, if she wishes. In the meantime, the individual concerned would like to express her profound apologies for the hurt caused and has stepped aside from her honorary role with immediate effect. All members of the household are being reminded of the diversity and inclusivity policies which they are required to uphold at all times. Miss Fulani was at the reception at Buckingham Palace on Tuesday, representing the London based charity Sister Space, which supports women of African and Caribbean heritage across the UK who have faced domestic and sexual abuse. Along with 300 guests, she had been invited to the event where the Queen Consort Camilla had warned of a global pandemic of violence against women. But afterwards, Miss Fulani described on Twitter how the royal aide moved her hair aside to see her name badge, and then challenged her to explain where she was from. In the post, Miss Fulani referred to the palace aide only as Lady SH, but Miss Reid confirmed to BBC News the person who had made the remarks was Lady Susan Hussey. Having seen her name badge, neither Buckingham Palace nor the charity named her. BBC News has approached Lady Hussey for comment through Buckingham Palace. Here is the full conversation as recounted by Miss Fulani. Lady SH, where are you from? Me, that is Miss Fulani. No, sister space. SH, no, where do you come from? Me. We are based in Hackney. SH, no. What part of Africa are you from? Me. I don't know. They don't leave any records. SH, well, you must know where you are from. I spent time in France. Where are you from? Me. Here, the UK. SH, no, but what nationality are you? Me. I'm born here and I'm British. SH, no, but where do you really come from? Where do your people come from? Me. My people? Lady, what is this? SH, oh, I can see I'm going to have a challenge getting you to say where you are from. When did you first come here? Me, lady, I'm a British national. My parents came here in the 50s. When? Oh, I knew we'd get there in the end. You are a Caribbean. Me, no lady, I'm of African heritage, Caribbean descent, and British nationality. SH, oh, so you are from. Now, this is absolutely fantastic evidence. This is absolutely brilliant evidence. This woman, Susan Hussey, has been in the royal household for decades, they say. Now, if she has been there for decades, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, I mean, she is 83 years of age. So, if she has been there 50 years, let's say, then for 50 years, the royal family has had such a racist in their midst. So, how can any of the new news coverage against Meghan Markle in the Daily Mail and the Sun and the others claim that it was Meghan Markle's fault for pointing out racism in the royal family? How can they do that? And by extension, how can they accuse Meghan's husband, Harry, for raising the question about racism in the royal family? How can they do that? Now, remember what happened to the British-born Shamima Begum? Think about that. That is exactly the attitude. I mean, Susan Hasi, actually, the way she treated Ngozi Fulani is typical. She has actually treated, let's go back to her story first. Fulani, Ngozi Fulani. Now, Ngozi Fulani, Ngozi is an African name, without any doubt. Let's check what the Ngozi is from. Ngozi Fulani. So this is the actual independent newspaper online. That is, let's see their version. That is, this one is by Nadine White. What a name! Race correspondent. 2 hours ago. 193 comments. Charity boss accuses Buckingham Palace of institutional racism after traumatic encounter with royal aid. Absolutely. So here is the item. This one is posted 2 hours ago. A black charity boss has accused Buckingham Palace of institutional racism after the late Queen's lady in waiting. Notice this, late Queen's, that is Brenda's lady in waiting. How long had he been the Queen's lady in waiting? Was forced to resign for making offensive remarks during an event. Ngozi, Ngozi, Fulani, Fulani, of Sister Space, Britain's leading domestic abuse charity for black women, spoke of the traumatic encounter in which Lady Suzanne Hussey, let's see, etc. So let's see where this is going. So this is the woman. This is bigger than one individual. Now this is the what is this one? This is the
With
sound
this being
of
quite
Jeddah.
a
It's
young
not
scene,
about
how is it being picked up by the young local population?
People love it, to be honest. Their mentality is totally different than like 20 years back or 15 years or
this is
even 2
not
years
this
back.
is not
All of it.
about her. This is another video. But anyway, so this is exactly what Shamima Begum has been seen as. Ngozi Fulani kept saying to Suzanne Hussey that she was born and brought up here. She was born British and she was British national. And yet, Suzanne Hussey would not accept any of that. So, no matter how many times Shamima Begum says she is born British, she was British, and she was innocent, the racists won't accept that. The racists won't accept that. So, that is how racists think. So, we are going to add to the narrative about Shamima Begum and our treatment, the incident, the episode, the example, the evidence of Suzanne Hussey interrogating Ngozi Fulani. Let's check the Ngozi Fulani extrapolation because the independent website is paywalled, so you can't get access to the full piece. But the next one there is, of course, the BBC, which we have read. The 9 hours ago is the one that is the Guardian one. And let's see what the Guardian's version reads. And it's written by Caroline Davies and Hannah Summers, timed at 16:18 hours GMT. Prince William's godmother quits palace over comments to black charity boss. Former lady in waiting to Queen issues apology after Ngozi Fulani questioned over where her people came from. And here Well, there is a Ngozi Fulani left at a reception at Buckingham Palace, photographed by Kin Cheong Press Association. Now, these women, I mean, you can't see all of their faces, but you can see only probably Ngozi Fulani, Camilla, and another woman who looks like who could be an Asian, who could not be an Asian. I mean, that is another one. Let's see if we can see the enlarged image of these people there in that picture. So this one could be an Asian woman, could be an Oriental, Eastern, Southeast Asian woman. It could be a Chinese person, it could be an Indian person, it could be a Pakistani person. This one. You cannot read the name badge that she's wearing, but you can, of course, see Camila without the name badge. And the Ngozi Fulani is talking to another black person, but half or quarter of the face behind that black person is a white person. So there is not really a full description of these individuals. Suffice to say that they are at a reception at Buckingham Palace. That's what it is described as. And let's see what the main words say. The late Queen's Lady in Waiting has resigned and apologized after a black guest at a reception hosted by the Queen consort, was left feeling traumatized and violated after she questioned her repeatedly about where she really came from. Ngozi Fulani, the founder of the charity Sister Space, claimed Suzanne Hussey moved her hair to reveal her name badge, and persistently questioned her where her people came from, despite having been told she was a British national. So the Guardian quotes this. Fulani wrote on Twitter mixed feelings about yesterday's visit to Buckingham Palace. 10 minutes after arriving, a member of staff, Lady S.H., approached me, moved my hair to see my name badge. The conversation below took place. The rest of the event is a blur. She then described the conversation. Lady S.H., where are you from? Me, Sister Space? S.H., no. Where do you come from? Me, we are based in Hackney. S.H., no. What part of Africa are you from? Me, I don't know. They didn't leave any records. S.H., well, you must know where you are from. I spent time in France. Where are you from? Me, here, UK. SH, no. But what nationality are you? Me, I'm born here and I'm British. SH, no. But where do you really come from? Where do you people come from? Where do your people come from? Me, my people? Lady, what is this? SH, oh, I can see I'm going to have a challenge getting you to say where you are from. When did you first come here? Me, lady, I'm a British national. My parents came here in the 50s when SHO, I knew we would get there in the end. You're Caribbean? No, lady, I'm of African heritage, Caribbean descent, and British nationality. SHO, so you are from, and the quotation is not completed. Buckingham Palace said, we take this incident extremely seriously and have investigated immediately to establish the full facts. In this instance, unacceptable and deeply regrettable comments have been made. We have reached out to Ngozi Fulani on this matter, and we are inviting her to discuss all elements of her experience in person if she wishes. If she wishes, now that is a sting, a sting of denial. They are not unconditionally inviting her. I mean, they are totally stupid. In the meantime, the individual concerned would like to express her profound apologies for the harm caused, not the hurt caused, but the hurt she caused, the hurt she racistly caused. Buckingham Palace is not telling the full truth, not still not admitting the racist behavior of the racist woman. The comments were condemned widely on Twitter. Replying to messages of support, Fulani tweeted, I think it is essential to acknowledge that trauma has occurred and being invited and then insulted has caused much damage. She wrote, there was nobody to report it to. I couldn't report it to the Queen consort, plus it was such a shock to me. And the two other women who we were stunned into temporary silence, I just stood at the edge of the room, smiled, and engaged briefly with those who spoke to me until I could leave. She added, it was such a struggle to stay in a space you were violated in. She told the Guardian the first no no was Hussey moving her hair. Here I am in this place as part of the 16 days of activism, experiencing non physical violence. You feel like you have the right to approach me, put your hand in my hair, and insist I don't have the right to be to British nationality. In a space like that, what do you do? She said she had never felt so unwelcome, or so uncomfortable. And Sky News quotes, it was almost an interrogation. Mandu Reid says a member of the Buckingham Palace household asked Black charity boss Ngozi Fulani question after her nationality and where she was really from. She said, I was almost forced to say that I'm not really British. I don't know what she meant by my people. It was incomprehensible for her to consider that I have British citizenship. Think about Shamima Begum. Absolutely inconceivable, isn't it? When she heard my parents were from the Caribbean, she said, finally we are getting somewhere. It was over overt racism. Of Hussey's resignation, she said, it's tragic for me that it has ended that way. I would have preferred that she had been spoken to or re educated. Reed, who witnessed the encounter, said it felt three women shell shocked. Sorry, it left three women shell shocked. They were invited as guests, she said. We were made to feel, in a way, like trespassers. It was pretty shocking because we didn't feel welcome. We didn't feel that we belonged. We felt our legitimacy, in a way, was challenged and questioned. It's the last thing I'd expect when I have been invited. She suggested the Palace household could benefit from cultural competency training of the sort run by Sister Space. You can't, on the one hand, wang on about the Commonwealth and embracing the Commonwealth family, and yet people like us, the three of us, are treated as if we don't belong. Describing it as an example of institutional racism, she said, they have to take responsibility for it. They've got to show leadership, not only in their own realm, but they have to take leadership for the country and for the Commonwealth they claim to preside over. She said it's about the culture within the institution of the royal family. You've got a new king now who has a chance to actually signal that he wants to do something better, to do something different. It is not the first time the royal institution has faced claims of racism. In their interview with Oprah Winfrey, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex made claims of racism against the family, which were denied by Prince William. Now, he is not denying, is he? He is not denying, is he? So, this is not something that is going to go away. It's absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. So, what do? We go to Croydon now next, do we not? Yes, we go to Croydon. And we have to look at the kind of behavior of the liar, racist liar, Catherine Carswell. Now, the private lie issue that is published today, but not dated today, is dated 2 days from today, that is dated the 2nd of December. Come to that in a minute, that page. And as the two items, one is caught out and the other is the kind of follow-up about the Croydon Council's bankruptcy and corruption, and Jane West, Croydon's fourth finance director in 2 years. Now, what I have to say about the councils, is an absolute truth, nothing but the truth. Every single council in the mainly in England, every single borough council in England is a misnomer. To call the council a local council, local democracy, and all the rest of it is completely untrue. Croydon Council has been officially Labour Party controlled for several years. And during those years, Croydon Council's Labour councillors and Labour Council's appointed chief executive have been openly robbing the council of millions of pounds. Now think about that. You have to think about that. When you hear statements about the particular borough, any particular borough in England being described as representing a population, disadvantaged population, such as in Tower Hamlets, such as in Newham, such as Hackney, you are expected by whoever is making that statement to believe that the decisions made by the council decision makers about individuals claims about housing benefit, claims about local housing allowance, claims about other issues, that these individuals making the decisions, first of all, are honest. Secondly, that they're competent to do the job, to make the decisions, to assess the facts and the evidence. That is what you are expected to believe. Now, that is what has been going on for decades. But the truth of the behavior of Croydon Council allowing, well, the Croydon councillors allowing the leading councillors to systematically rob and loot the Croydon public and the public of literally hundreds of millions of pounds. What does it show? It shows that Croydon population would not be as deprived, or the particular parts of the Croydon population would not be as deprived, as disadvantaged as they are had Croydon Council not been engaged in robbery and looting to the tunes of millions of pounds. Now you extrapolate that and you apply that to Tower Hamlets Council, Tower Hamlets Borough. And you do that, extrapolate and apply that to Newham Council in London, Hackney Council in London, Lewisham Council in London. Why these four? Because those four, in addition to Croydon Council, are the ones that have been lumbered with executive mayor crook post held by crooks. And as the Price Waterhouse Cooper report into Lutfur Rahman's corrupt decision making in Tower Hamlets has only reconfirmed what has been known before. Tower Hamlets Council has been and remains and is destined to remain a festering sewage, a sewer of corruption and criminality. Now, the fact that the executive mayor post has been created as a guaranteed permanent dictatorship, which means that ordinarily elected councillors, supposedly representing council wards, are barred, prevented, blocked, obstructed, forbidden from making any comment about the mayor. For example, when the criminal racist liar, the midget, John Biggs, spoke after I had raised the question about the corruption in Tower Hamlets Council, he used a stupid, inappropriate word about me. Instead of answering the question, instead of answering my allegations, this midget criminal racist liar, misfit, said that he had known me for 30 years. No, he had not. He may have seen me for 30 years. He had heard me over 30 years. He had heard about me and my campaign over 30 years. But the criminal shit never had sat down with me, never ever exchanged one single substantive sentence about the state of community in Tower Hamlets with me. So the shit was allowed to say that he had known me for 30 years. He had not. He could not. The only knowledge he had of me was from a distance, and at the receiving end, he was at the receiving end of my truthful, legal, constitutional, ethical, moral, much needed rebuke. This creep shit at one of the Labour Party meetings said, he stood up, this midget, and he said to the meeting, attended by all the white members, the shitbags stayed silent as he said, boastfully. He said, I don't have to account to you for my role at the GLA because I am not representing just Tower Hamlets, I'm representing Newham and the City of London. Now, that was not right. He had to account to the people of Tower Hamlets as well. But the shitbags stayed silent, the fucking morons, leaving it to me and my conscience to stand up and tell off this idiot. I told off John the Midget Biggs. I said, how dare he? Kick him out, I said. So that's the only knowledge John the Midget Biggs had of me. He had not known me for 30 years. He had been aware of my existence as the campaigner over any number of years. That is true. But he had neither sympathy nor knowledge nor support for what I was doing and what I am doing, what I had done, what I would do. Now, this criminal, a criminal like John Biggs, was able to be installed as mayor, thus immediately shutting all the councillors up from having any say. That was open, absolute, brazen robbery of basic democratic rights. And yet there has been no uproar in Tower Hamlets against this corrupt system, corrupting system. And the corruption and the criminality and the brazenness, as exhibited on that occasion by the crook, racist, liar, John Biggs, is to be found in the corrupt behavior of the liar, Luthuraman. And none of the criminals who profit from their licking of the boot or whatever of the holder of the post and operate their so-called outlets, ethnicity-linked outlets, none of these morons has the guts, the honesty, the awareness, the ability to report this criminal's behavior, let alone to condemn him. Now, that complicity reduces these criminals to criminals, and they are committing crimes against ordinary people in Tower Hamlets of all backgrounds, of all faiths and of no faiths, all gender and of no gender specific kind of identification, whatever. This is what Tony Blair has brought about. Tony Blair brought about this option to do away with the semblance of democracy that used to be without the mayor dictatorship. And the fact that there are 4 London borough councils plus now Croydon prepared to be lumbered with this corrupt dictatorship shows that in those 4 boroughs, Tower Hamlets, Newham, Hackney, and Lewisham, the people who are councillors, let's say about 200 councillors. I mean, I'll count the number of councillors in those 4 boroughs, and I shall update in the next few minutes. 200 councillors elected. They've got the mandate, the electoral mandate. That is to say, they have the elected kind of electors' authority to represent the electors or electorate. If they have that authority, it is a fantasy now, it's a phantom. It is not true because the dictatorship of the mayor has looted all of that and has forced them into silence. Most of these 200 councillors are in voluntary silence and submission. So, when a racist like Susan Hussey interrogates not only Ngozi Fulani, but two other women, black women there, including the one that has reported extensively on Sky News, in the way that she has done, Hussey that is, and these women have felt that there was nobody to complain to. They felt violated in a space. I mean, only the victims, only the targets of that violation can have the real feeling, not any onlooker, not any observer. We shall be talking more about this and similar situations and amplify the narrative, comparative narrative similarity, the evidential similarity that exists between Ngozi Fulani and the treatment of Shamima Begum by the racists who have been commenting on her. They have no right to comment on her in the way that they have done because they don't know the facts. They are not from Tower Hamlets, and even if they are from Tower Hamlets, they don't have the slightest idea about the background of these children. And again, in Tower Hamlets, regardless of who the mayor post holder is, the councillor post holders are stunned. They are stunned and they are silenced and they are completely gagged and they are unable to speak. And because of their careers, because of their opportunistic careerism, these councillors are quite happy to comply with the corrupt culture and the corrupt kind of ethos of the Tower Hamlets Council, which has been for years, as we alone have been pointing out and explaining, failing, intentionally neglecting, intentionally overlooking its legal, law related duties to safeguard children's safety. They have failed, Tower Hamlets Council has failed to discharge the safeguarding children duties to protect and safeguard these girls, Shamima Begum and two of her friends. And the white racist left wingers who have suddenly discovered the so called, I mean, can you believe this? They say that Luthur is a socialist. Now, Luthur, according to Abbasuddin alias Halal, has been brainwashed in the East London Mosque. And the East London Mosque is controlled at three layers by the political outfit operating mainly in Bangladesh and from Bangladesh called Jamaat-e-Islami. Now, the Jamaat-e-Islami is never known as a left-wing organization, is it? If anything, the Jamaat-e-Islami in Bangladesh as well as elsewhere, if any leaning, any kind of right and left kind of leaning has to be identified, associated with the Jamaat-e-Islami, it is with the right. I have no particular issues with the right or left. I'll say in a minute why. As long as any particular political movement or party or outfit is engaged in objectively verifiable, truthful activities and telling the truth. Now, I have no idea about the Jamaat Islami's internal workings. I only know about Jamaat Islami from, 50 years ago. That was the last time I had any observation from the quarters in what used to be East Pakistan. And I knew them from a distance. I never attended their members' meeting. I never had access to the members' meeting. And I never had any conversation about the members. kind of experiences and insights. So I saw them as a secretive outfit operating under the banner of Islam. But to my understanding, they had a strange understanding about Islam, interpretation of Islam, because they operated secretly. Whereas Islam, as interpreted, as being interpreted currently, well, which is topical but which is also relevant, by the Tehreek-e-Insaf in Pakistan, as fronted by Imran Khan, the manifesto that the Prophet of Islam, peace be on him, enunciated was the most transparent manifesto based on Islam. So, whatever the Jamaat Islami might be doing with the word Islam or Islami cannot be reconciled with the interpretation of Islam as being presented, let's say, currently by Imran Khan and the Tehreek-e-Insaf in Pakistan, where Tehreek-e-Insaf and Imran Khan are quoting, often quoting almost daily, what the Prophet said, and they are reinforcing the Prophet saying by also quoting, contextually quoting Muhammad Iqbal and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And I have had critical comments about Imran Khan leaving out the people of East Pakistan, let's say Maulana Abdul Hamid Khan Bashani and his contemporary Sher e Bangla Fazlul Haq and others in the period before 1947. So there is a lot of issues. There is a lot of issues to do with Islam and its misinterpretation. And I think that the the very fact that the so-called left socialists have shamelessly, ignorantly, stupidly, audaciously, idiotically, imperialistically imposed their socialist label about Lutfur Rahman shows their complete corrupt, absolute stupidity. They say that Lutfur is a socialist. Fuck the lot of them. Lutfur Rahman has no idea about socialism. He never will. Lutfur Rahman is a liar. And he lied in one single conversation. He lied 8 times, 7 times to me when he said that he would meet with me. He said that he would meet with me after settling down. He said settling down, the concept, he said it 7 or 8 times in the single conversation. On Friday, the 29th of October 2010, in Brick Lane, just outside the Brick Lane Mosque, he is on film saying that. He is on film saying that. And he never sat down with me to discuss what he should have done. He did sit down with me twice. But on those 2 occasions, he lied as well, additionally lied. As if those lies he uttered on the 29th of October 2010 were not lies enough. He added and aggravated those lies by adding more lies, by saying that the racist crook criminal, shitbag, tiny post holder, Colin Shitbag Cormac, had the power over him. Lutfur Rahman brazenly lied. And Lutfur Rahman's brazen lying was colluded to, capitulated to, aided and abetted by Alibor Chaudhry at the same setting. Luthran lied to me on the 20th of September 2012 in New Road, in the basement of a restaurant that used to be called the Marcos, which is not there anymore. Luthran lied. Luthran lied by saying that I, Muhammad Haque, should have been the first member of parliament, that I should have been the first mayor, not him. Now, that meeting was not about estimating whether I was to be the first mayor or first MP or whatever. I had been suitable, fit to be an MP, minister, whatever, before Lutfur Rahman had been biologically born. So the last thing I wanted was an assurance about my abilities. I didn't. I don't. That meeting was dishonestly organized by Lutfur Rahman to meet me by his sidekick Alibor Chaudhry to discuss the state of Colin Cormack's lying at that stage. And I gave him clear, truthful, explicit, express constitutional law advice. Lutheraman did not disagree with me. Lutheraman did not deny what I was saying was true. And yet he never did what I advised him to do. So he lied. On the 10th of June 2010, inside the East London, the London Muslim Centre, I think, there was a presentation by Lutfur Rahman as the candidate, as one of the candidates, let's say. One of the candidates to become the candidate for mayor. And as I was filming him, one of the Jamaat-e Islamist thug boys came from behind. I had no idea that there was anyone behind me. It wasn't a crowded setting. And where I was standing with my camera, I was not blocking anyone else. There was not a crowd of photographers or anything. But this criminal boy must have been engaged by one of the criminals controlling the criminals control center. And he pushed me and therefore distracted me from my focusing on Lutfur Rahman. So when I told Lutfur Rahman that this had happened, Lutfur Rahman timidly, corruptly, as a brainwashed moron, completely failed to comment on this, let alone condemn this thug. As did former councillor Abjol Mia. Abjol Mia was not far from where this thug boy pushed me from behind. So I went to Abdul Mia and told him to condemn this. Abdul Mia failed. So what are they? What are they doing in the name of the East London Mosque, London Muslim Centre? What on earth are they doing? This thug boy cannot have been the only one. Another thug boy did the same thing outside of the East London Mosque complex when these morons had given a platform to Biggs. And Biggs were giving a spiel and I was filming it for the record. And I felt somebody pushing me from behind. Again, it wasn't a crowded kind of gathering. It wasn't a mass gathering. So where I was standing, I was not blocking anyone, and I had no intention of blocking anyone. I never do that. One of the objective journalistic ethics that I always observe is not to block any other genuine person doing a journalistic job, which is what I was doing. But this happened twice, inside and outside of the East London Mosque. To me, I am the most active person in the whole UK Bangladeshi community, if not the entire Bangladeshi community, everywhere. How dare these Jamaati Islami linked criminals behave like that? And Lutfur Rahman is absolutely morally dead, ethically dead. And his moral and ethical deaths confirm what Abbasuddin Elias Halal said, that he is a brainwashed thing. Is that what the community in Tower deserve? A brainwashed thing? This is why people like Shamima Begum's parents, who are now being discussed and mentioned by other people, not by Lutfur Rahman, he won't dare. He won't dare open his mouth and recognize Shamima Begum or her parents, or her family, or her siblings. Genuine siblings, that is. This child, Shamima Begum, has been criminalized, has been vilified, has been defamed and distorted, disfigured. Now, on what evidence have they done that? The racists in the British media, the racists running the program of script writing, updating in the UK Home Office, and in the UK, particularly the nasty part of the Secret Service. I mean, what are they playing at? Say, for example, this Suzanne Hussey. Suzanne Hussey was caught doing to Ngozi Fulani what all these other racists have been doing, in effect, to Shamima Begum. No, no, no. Where are you really from? Where were you born? Are you really from Bethnal Green? No, no, no. Where are you really from? What part of Asia are you from? Now, the Sikh Hasina regime, stuffed with Mirzapur and their bastard descendants, immediately issued a servile Mirzapur friendly statement denouncing Shamima Begum, to be read along with Sajid Javid's coconut Uncle Tom declaration that Shamima's British by birth citizenship had been stripped from her. Now, whoever, not whoever, whoever would have given Sikh Hasina any advice about why she should intervene at all against Shamima Begum? She had no idea. She still has no idea about what Shamima Begum had been through, has been through, is being through. She's still only 23. I mean, how old is Tulip Siddiqui? Tulip Siddiqui is the daughter of Sheikh Hasina's sister Rehana. I mean, Tulip Siddiqui is an MP who was elected apparently to the British Parliament but by the sacrifices of hundreds of Sylheti morons who surfaced in Kilburn and in the constituency during election time, and they scoured the whole area and completely stormed the area by nervously demanding that Tulip should be voted for. The white folk wouldn't do that. And how many Siloti morons who do that kind of servitude, how many of them know the difference? For example, one Siloti who is not to be confused as a supporter of Sheikh Hasina, but should be clearly identified as a supporter of the Jamaat Islami. Kamal Chaudhry. Is it Kamal Chaudhry? Kalam Chaudhry. Kalam Chaudhry used to go by the name of Abu Tahir Singh Kafoni. Now he has styled himself as Kalam Chaudhry and is a dedicated supporter of the Jamaat Islami. No doubt about that, because he has on his Facebook an admission that he was the editor of the Dawat. There used to be so-called newspaper, Dawat. Dawat was actually founded by a thing called Chaudhry Moinuddin. Now the thing I am calling Chaudhry Moinuddin owes his power to the Siloti morons. And he has misled them, and he has caused them to have rows among themselves, and he has allowed them to control the complex East London Mosque by disenfranchising the Musallis, the ordinary people of Tower Hamlets of East London, of their free and equal access to the so-called Islamic buildings. Moinuddin has no legitimacy to do that, no legitimate claim whatsoever to prevail on the Muslims of East London in the way that he has been allowed to prevail. The only reason why he has been allowed to prevail has been through a secretive operation carried out by the Saudi embassy. Well, there is an opposite to Chaudhry Moinuddin, who is the man called Abu Said, Hafiz Abu Said. There has been a kind of split between Abu Said and Moinuddin over the kind of influence and control of the Muslim kind of parts of the population that was loyal to the Jamaat Islami. Both of them members of the Jamaat Islami, those two. But whatever their individual personal reasons, that split and their appearance and their influence has done nothing but damage the universal cause of the Muslims in the east end of London and from East London to the rest of the UK. No one, none of the Muslim commentators, so-called, this Iranian linked outfit called Varsi. Is it Varsi? I mean, in 1974, this idiot wrote to me from some address in Brighton. because I was publishing a publication called Spokesman, and he had got a copy of the Spokesman, and he wrote to me in 1974. Varsi, is it Varsi? I'll check his proper correct kind of spelling and I'll update accordingly. By the time he got this new business operated from a chemist or pharmacy in near Holborn, he has grown such a big head that to accommodate the head you need about 3 or 4 cars. But essentially, this liar is very hostile to ordinary mainstream Muslims in this country. And therefore, the coverage of political events inside the Muslim community in the UK is false, misleading, and biased. He's, he's, a, he's a worshipper of the Uncle Toms and coconuts in government. And he's indifferent. He's indifferent to the ordinary Muslims living both in London as well as in other parts of the UK. Because the majority of the Muslims in the UK are Sunnis. And he divides the Muslims as Sunnis and non Sunnis and Shias. And he supports the Shia side as far as is evident in the bias. And this liar denied having contacted me in 1974. How could he do that? I never knew the liar, and I'd only have known about him if he had contacted me, which he did. And the moron surfaced decades later in the form of this Barsi as a Muslim political journalist. Fuck him! He has no idea about Muslim political journalism. Shit! He's another mental slave. How dare he pollute the traditions of true Iranian poets and thinkers and fighters? The country that has produced Maulana Rumi and others. How dare this liar associate himself with the land that has been sanctified by the likes of Maulana Rumi? He has no idea about Maulana Rumi. So we have got in the UK, among the so-called Muslims, trading as Muslims, various phantom factions of Muslims. These are engaged in various versions of criminality. And the ordinary Muslims are being unrepresented, misrepresented, and not represented by these criminals. Almost all the mosques, not every single mosque, because there are some mosques which are numerically too small to have the kind of influence that the average size Muslim mosques are able to exert. But less than 95% of the mosques have got committees, controlling committees or controlling cabals that are controlled by criminals who are disguised as Muslims but actually contain significant numbers of agents of Satan. How dare this Varsi, the criminal, pretend that he is publishing some kind of Muslim thing, and his son has become an expert on the side. He gets called by the racists on the BBC and other racist outfits to opine on what the Muslims think. What the fuck does he know about what Muslims think? So this shitbag is called Ahmed Warsi, and his corrupt outlet is called Muslim News. Now, there is no one, absolutely no one, that is alive and active that is doing Islamic journalism, full stop. By that I mean the ones that actually do the business as Islamic journalists. Here is an obituary written about this man called Faruqi, the one that has published Impact International. But Faruqi is being wrongly credited with all sorts of things in this obituary dated January 2022. Because Faruqi created a kind of family enterprise. And he, like Varsi, was an obstruction to telling the truth about and for and from the Muslim Ummah. Impact International was no such thing. It wasn't doing the impact that Faruqi and his praisers give credit to it for saying. Nothing. None of the original events affecting the Muslims has been reported by the Impact International. Not even 5% of it. Not even 5% of it. The fact that this one, Faruqi, paid homage to the Prince of Wales, for fuck's sake, Prince of Wales was invited to the Islamic Foundation in Leicester. Now that is directly linked to the Jamaat Islami. The Islamic Foundation in Leicester is directly connected with the Islamic Jamaat Islami both in Pakistan and in Bangladesh. So by that association alone, the Islamic Foundation is completely contaminated and should be condemned because of the role it has been put to spread lies and untruths and denials and obstructions. God, I mean, how many Mirzafors are there? So this Islamic business in Britain, the ones that are the prosperity of the Muslim converts, that is a business that is being run. That is a business, that is a profitable business that is being run, converting white people to Muslim Islam. This is a very seriously offensive thing that they're doing under the name of conversion. Because all those who are engaged in doing the conversion business are also at the same time obstructing ordinary Muslims in the Muslim community. I mean, the sight of the fanatic Muslim zealot working there plying their trade in bricklaying on Sundays, targeting especially white women, young white women, is grotesque, it's embarrassing, and it's absolutely objectionable and non Islamic. There are literally hundreds of such incidents that have happened in Brick Lane alone. Now, these same fanatics are completely indifferent to the degenerate state of Muslim born young men and women in Tower Hamlets, in Hackney, and other places who are systematically being criminalized and are growing up as criminals. And nobody cares about the fact that they are growing up as criminals, subliterate or not literate at all. How many aspects of the community of Muslims are degenerate cannot be listed in one particular edition. Muslims, the so called Ummah, is in dire crisis. I mean, they are converting these white people. I mean, what do they do that for? One of the strongest, one of the strongest motivating factors must be their subservience to the white skin, their subservience to white skin, racist skin superiority complex. That's what they're doing. So they display white skinned Muslim converts as marks of achievement. Can you believe that? There are so many of these zealots appearing to be doing the cause for Islam, but they're not. They're perverting the actual message of Islam, and they're suppressing the spirit of Islam among the Muslims. And they're subjugating what appears to be Muslim community under the cultural superiority of the white skinned implant. That's what they're doing. Because the same people that are engaged in the conversion business are very silent about the corruption in Muslim societies and Muslim communities, both in the UK and in Muslim led, so called Muslim fronted states in Asia and in Africa. No wonder, therefore, that while the election commissioner Richard Morey found so many things wrong in Lutfur Rahman, none of the Muslim scholars, none of this, not a single one of the Muslim so-called leaders has come forward, and this is 7 years, to make even one single comment about Lutfur Rahman's corruption. And here was Maulana Shamsul Haq from Fort Square Mosque being caught lying when he was lecturing Muslim prayer goers to cast their votes at the mayoral election for Lutfur Rahman because it was their spiritual duty. Maulana Shamsul Haq got caught lying under cross-examination. And the bogus hijab wearing Paula Monzilauddin got caught lying when she appeared before Mori, allegedly to give character reference to Mori about Lutfur Rahman's character. She, Paula Monzilauddin, got exposed and caught. When she was asked, had she not been caught stealing public money from the House of Peers by falsely claiming, making false declarations about what her ordinary house was and what her temporary house was. And the Spitalfields Housing Cooperative, which is now Spitalfields Housing Association, has forever remained implicated in Paula Monzilauddin's corruption and criminality, in her theft and her fraud. All these people are, quote, Muslims. How do they do these crimes while at the same time maintaining the semblance, the appearance, the pretense that they are also at the same time Muslims? Have they no awareness? Have they no sense of responsibility about right and wrong as Muslims? Have they no shame as Muslims doing crimes? So we shall be ending this particular edition at 1 hour 27 minutes 26 seconds. 0022 hours GMT on Thursday, the 1st of December 2022.